in that very corporate as an opportunity for you to grow even further. So put your hand up for challenges. You don't have to put up your hand for promotion to get paid. You can put up your hand to do more than what you're doing. Find leaders who see you and don't get stuck working for a middle manager who's scared of losing you.
She's not talking about me, by the way.
What about you? Who's scared of losing you?
It's night to live. It's night to live. It's night to live. It's night to live.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 9 to Life, your career and life journey podcast, where we interview the interesting people doing the things you'd like to do but didn't know that you could. On today's show, we've got the first CEO on 9 to Life. Audrey Mothupi, CEO of SystemicLogic, which is a management consulting company. No, it's not a management consulting company. She'll tell us all about it. Audrey, welcome to the 9 to Life. Welcome to the show. How do you define your company?
One of the best things about doing anything, first of all, welcome to all your listeners and your viewers. I'm not just a CEO, I'm the Chief Hassling Officer, so whatever that is, right?
Yes.
But that's the Chief Hassling Officer, and it's not a management consulting company. Got it all wrong. So
okay.
no, you have to get your facts right.
I'll get my facts right.
So it's a global digital data innovation and cybersecurity company. So we're more an execution partner, not necessarily the advisory part. So our key differentiator usually is the quality of our people, the speed of execution, but it's more in the execution components. So consultants will come and you get the advice. But we come in and actually a lot of what we do is the implementation stuff, whether it's building tech, being your partner in building the tech, being your partner in managing your cybersecurity issues, or in data. And I'm not talking about cell phone data. I'm talking data analytics and stuff, and data component, making sure.
Yes, information.
I'm sure you've heard about data scientists, the information and making sure we build and simplify the data lakes, and that's all the overloaded information in different companies that you work with to streamline that and put structure around that. So definitely not management.
Definitely not management consulting. We've corrected that. It sounds interesting. I like how you sort of you always say the same things about what your company, what your differentiator is in your company. We met when you gave a talk in my class, and you spoke about how your differentiator, and you said it now: speed of execution, people.
Yep.
Quality of people. How do you define it?
Absolutely. It's very
quality
simple. Because there's no such thing as a new idea anymore out there from an innovation point of view. And the real assets out there are people and skill and experience. So our key differentiator in everything we do is the quality of our people and the speed of execution. And a simple example is a lot of you are listening out there probably, and I'm going to use a simple term, simple definition, probably know something as simple as a web developer from a tech point of view, or building an app out there. I've got teams that do that, or writing software to build an innovation technology platform. The quality of your people, if I use that example, is that web developer who will look into the problem of the client and not just want to solve for what they've been asked to do. So they will probably look at it and say, actually, how do I actually challenge and take this further? So that the quality it's a person who will enter into any environment, any of our client environments, and ask the question beyond that which we're there to solve for, and anticipate both the positive and the negative aspects. So enabling the teams, anyone that works for SystemicLogic doesn't go to just solve and answer a simple problem. They come into an organization where they're asked to use their mind in finding solutions, simplifying a problem, or maximizing the value for the client. If you look at the speed of execution, it's that developer who is not going to deliver on the timeline that you've agreed to. But earlier than you've agreed to.
I thought you were going to say later.
No. Earlier than you've agreed to, because that's the speed of execution. Because in any environment, time is money. Time is of essence. If you're solving a problem for a client, it means that you have to maintain their competitive advantage. And in anything that we do, that's why we're execution partners. There are three considerations that my teams have to look at all the time, all of us, which is, in everything I'm doing right now, does it do any of the three things?
Okay.
Am I driving revenue enhancement for the client?
Okay.
Am I optimizing the costs, meaning that am I making sure that they can get more with less from a cost point of view? Or am I mitigating the risks from a cybersecurity point of view? Am I ensuring that I'm reducing the risk, because risks cost organizations a lot of money at this point in time? So if we're constantly driving those conversations, and it's in the art of how you bring the team together, then hands down, the quality of delivery to the client will be very different to any of my competitors. I mean, if I were running a retail company, I'd say, if you get it cheaper at so and so, come back. Trust me, come back. We'll do it better and cheaper.
Sure.
With value.
With value. I love what you're saying, and everything that you spoke about now can be reflected in the different accolades that SystemicLogic has won over the years, right? Speak about some of them, and then we can get
and I think the measure of success is also an acknowledgement that others recognize the work that you've done. So whether it is through winning the innovation awards that we had from a leader in the innovation platforms or digital apps, or in the ICT sector, personally being recognized for some of the work that we're doing in that space. It's at any award, and I challenge all of you who are listening, is you don't stand still on an award. An award is just a recognition that you're doing something right. So now reinvent and disrupt yourself further. So I don't sit on the accolades. I actually sit in the challenges that are still to come.
I see.
And I'm thankful for the recognition that we get. And the recognition comes not only in an accolade, it comes in an email or a note or a text from a client. Thank you for the work that the team have put through. Recognition of an individual. When you take in young graduates or young qualified data scientists, and they engage with executives, and you get a message from an executive quite excited about the contribution that they made or what they put forward, that's an accolade. For me, the real accolades in my business over the years are the recognition of the individuals that are busy every day solving problems for clients, together with clients.
Beautiful. I like that. And just before, so usually we start the episode off with like an origin story, but we've dove so deep into this that I want us to continue, and then we'll go back again. Does this mean that the average length of your engagements is longer than, say, for instance, a consulting company? Because you don't come in and say, do this and leave. You say, let me walk the path with you.
It's actually the opposite. You shouldn't be looking at the length. I think it's a relationship building. It's a partnership model. So in fact, every single project that we take on board, the advice and training to my teams has always been, we need to work ourselves out of that job. So you can't go into an engagement of a partnership and implementation thinking like traditional consultancy, that I need to leverage and extend the time frame that I'm in this project. This is different. You have to work yourself out of a project, because in doing that, you're solving for the problem. If the company then chooses to continue a relationship with us, that's a different engagement, solving a solution, a different problem. So in some cases, you might be there a year, a couple of months, some cases a year or two. I've got amazing clients who believed in me and believed in us almost 10 years ago, and are still clients. But we've done many things, because you have to work yourself out of a job. Because if you're stretching yourself in a role, then you're not solving the client's problem. Then you're not an execution partner. You're just making sure you're holding on to the work for yourself. And that's not a true partnership.
That's not a true partnership. No. The client doesn't walk away from that engagement feeling like, they got the best deal out of it. I love that. Okay. Now we can dive into the origin story. Just a couple of minutes to take us through who Audrey is, where Audrey grew up, school, all of that.
Audrey.
Sorry. So
Audrey. So I think I always say I'm an African child, first and foremost. I was born and raised in exile. born in Uganda, grew up in Kenya, studied in Canada, got to Canada when I was about 17, 18 years of age on a scholarship, just talking about the hassle. It's being intentional about life. Life gives us opportunities, even in its hardships. You just have to find that opportunity to take that forward. So when I look back at the colorful background and who I am and where I've come from and where I'm at today, to summarize it, I am proudly African, proudly South African. And that's who I carry first and foremost, no matter where I find myself in the world.
Even when you were in Canada, it was clear this one
doesn't matter.
African.
Yes, you have to. You have to, because the value system, and we'll talk about, speaking about origins, if I think about your podcast, it's really to weave in the individuals so people can see life both ways.
Yes.
The simple response there is that charity begins at home. So the value system that we're raised with is what carries you in whatever profession you're in today, and whatever company, if you're an entrepreneur. And it's a value system of going back to the basics, of the basic things around being trustworthy, somebody who I can count on, as an example. The idea of, some people call it loyalty or commitment, but from a value system, it's somebody who actually is in the African culture, we know I can count on you. It doesn't matter what I need. I can, go to my neighbor and ask for salt and milk and stuff. So it's that dependability that's a given, and that sense of Ubuntu that we all have together. So how does that translate into work? Work that I've done personally or in corporate world, it means in everything that you're doing. So do it in a way that you would be happy if somebody was doing it for you and to you. So whether you are in an office and you've been given a piece of work to finish, a proposal, your accountant, you're managing a half year or a full year. So go into that work as if that's your company. So personalize and bring your whole self in it. Maybe somebody else's company, somebody else's business, but you're showcasing your own effort. And in doing that, you're also building your own resilience, and you're also you're mastering your own art of what you're doing. But if we do everything in a way that I'm just doing a job.
Just to tick a box.
I've never had a job. I've actually never had a job. I've never had a job description. I've never had a job.
Okay. What does that mean?
Never having a job is that everything that you take on. In fact, I don't remember having a job description. You have to exceed expectations.
I see.
You have to push yourself to the next level. You have to say, I'm kind of like my accountant job is very predictable. It's like an income statement, balance sheet. The things that I need to track and follow.
Yes.
But am I doing it in a way that I want to exceed expectations? Meaning that, can I do this faster than that's expected of me? Can I be the first one to detect when there's a problem?
Yes.
Can I preempt a challenge? Can I be the one that interprets the accounting principles in a simplified manner that pulls everybody into the journey of understanding the risks that we're taking on or the risks we're not taking on? Because in your world, every year there are new accounting principles. So how are you taking that role beyond what you're paid to do at that point in time? Because then you don't have a job. Now it's a hobby. You're investigating in your job.
I love how you're putting it, because it's more of a framing thing, right? So despite what you might have a job description, but despite that, how do you go over and above to make sure that you are adding maximum value and you are being true to the value system that you incorporate and displaying it onto the world?
It's that whole thing of, at least with me, I wake up with the principle of saying nothing's too big, too small, or impossible.
Whoa.
And I'll take you back to my old days when I really did work as a consultant. Monitor days.
When you had a job description.
When I worked as a consultant at Monitor Group way back when, management consultancy. And I remember you'd come in and you start off as consultants, and a lot of consultants out there probably do this. And in these days, we've got technology and research. And in the early days, before we went to a client pitch, as an example, we had to do research on that company.
Okay.
And we would go looking for financial statements for 3 to 5 years, because we want to see a trend in the front, right? And in those days, they were not digitized. So you'd have to drive around, go and figure out who the company secretaries were of the different companies, and find a way of getting copies. And if you found you're creative and navigated your way enough through security and companies and staff and engagement,
Hustling.
it's a hassle.
Yes.
But it's a hassle while you're employed. I was employed as a consultant.
Absolutely.
And you manage to collect 5 years worth of, these are annual reports, these are the physical printed
thick,
ones, right?
Yeah, it's a thick.
And you work through it. So turning it around away from being a job it's a bit like, like a treasure hunt. Your treasure hunt for, in my mind, you walk out, it's a treasure hunt for annual reports. And then when you find them, it's a treasure hunt for what the numbers are saying.
Yes.
So you run your own Excel spreadsheets and you put in all the numbers for a year. And then you do a comparative. Because if you're looking at the retail sector, you're not going to collect annual statements for one company.
For 1 year. No.
You want 3 or 4 other companies. That's a lot. That's 15, 20 of those books you have to find somewhere and then translate that into a spreadsheet.
Yes.
And the exciting part is when it's like, when you start seeing the trend in the numbers and you're like, eureka. And it's that's not a job. That's the exciting moment.
I like it. Because nowadays they call it gamifying, right? They call it, having fun with your job. And I like how you're saying and I can imagine being an exec back then, right? Where I'm thinking only my people have access to my financial statements. And then here comes this company that says, no, we've done the work before you guys even decided to contract with us. This is how much work we've done to to show you guys that we are the right people and that we care about making a success of your company.
Now take that same principle in everything that we do. So my teams know that. So if I walk into your office and expect you to give me an hour of your time, then I have to be respectful enough to not come with the predictable questions or, assume that we're walking in and we've got the job is ours. So you have to do the work beforehand. And it's that treasure hunt that my team does prior, where you can find nuggets of conversations. So when I'm having the conversation with you, we then are starting at a point of almost an engagement of curiosity.
Yes.
Because now we're looking at, I'm not selling, we're engaging on problem statements. So find the problems that you can work with. So it's like a puzzle. So so if you look at it as a job, then it can be quite frustrating for any of my analysts because it's a tick box.
Yes.
And none of them need to be on my team because our whole being, as part of SystemicLogic, is systematically finding problems and creating solutions around that, being that partner.
That's so beautiful. How do you look for these people? Or, better yet, how do you instill the same sense of, treasure hunt, let's make this fun, let's not make this a job, in your people? Or do you try and find those people first?
People, I think the biggest asset for any environment is the people.
100%.
And it's not just the quality of people because I've not met a single person that wakes up and and I say this all the time, a lot of my interviews, I've never come across anyone who wakes up in the morning to go and mess up their jobs. No one. Because everybody wakes up with a sense, I'm going to make a difference in whatever I'm doing. I'm going to be the best researcher today. I'm going to be the best, data analyst. I'm going to be the best, whatever you call it. And I think it's in the culture that you create and the environment that you put forward. So we have a value system that we're very clear about. And every single one of our team members is aware of that value system. We exceed expectations. That teamwork is important. So it's not about it's about we and how we do that. And in exceeding that expectations, it's how we do that with humility. We engage and manage with humility. There's a sense of curiosity in what we do all the time.
100%.
And that attention to detail in things that we do. So I said you must always get things done the way you want it to be done to you.
Yes.
And then you need to empower individuals because everybody has something better to bring up to the table. At SystemicLogic, we've created what we call a culture club, SystemicLogic Culture Club.
Okay.
It's run by the teams. It's like the other way around. I've always had this vision of having your own business where your own teams are leading the business and the culture of their business. And the culture team includes everything from our interns to our more established engagement directors and leaders and the techies.
Yes.
And they challenge each other. So, we have hackathons that we run with ourselves. You can't sell a hackathon to a client if your own entire team doesn't know what a hackathon's about. So we've got to sometimes throughout the year where our teams have to run hackathons with problem statements of how to better the company. So there's hackathons around finding solutions for the company. And they have to pitch. We've got pitch days where they have to come and pitch their ideas as part of the hackathon, where we fund those ideas, which are fun ideas internally, so where they solve for it. So you're now mimicking, you're creating a team structure where you're mimicking some of the challenges that they will find in the client by making them, they're the first to solve for that. So if I look at one of the products that have come out of our Culture Club is our digitized time management system that we utilize, our SystemicLogic, was an idea from some of our interns in our own teams. And they had to build, they took it from an ideation process all the way to building the technology. Now, you'd ask, why was that important? We've all come out of a COVID period, the whole idea of hybrid models of work. Ways of working wherever you are. My teams are working on client sites, different countries, etc. So it's a system that allows them to feel that they're being they're logging their time, but it's in a way that is visible to everyone. So my genuine hours that I put in are now acknowledged because there's a system we've designed that it's not a top down, it's a bottom up system. So now I'm able to be visible to some of the time spent prior. So if back in the day, and I call it back in the day, my leaders knew how many hours it took to drive around finding those annual reports as an example, and then putting them on a spreadsheet. Perhaps there would have been a different recognition, appreciation for the work that was done. And I'm not saying I wasn't appreciated. I had to grow. But this way, in the new age of technology, in my environment, the culture of building the real good quality people is by empowering them. And by empowering them to using examples of the challenges that clients have to test those examples and build solutions for SystemicLogic as if we're building solutions for the client.
I like what you're saying now because it speaks to that fundamental principle of saying before you can ask your clients to disrupt themselves, right, with these new ideas, whatever you're generating from them, you can show even yourself that we do it internally. So we know this works, right? We do it internally. We develop our people like this because they are dealing with real life problems, not just on paper scenarios that might be limited because they don't take into account the real complexities of the day to day, right? And then how do you then, after you've done this now, you've done the hackathon, how do you sell it to your clients? Or how do you sell it to your clients?
And so I think the selling is the wrong word because the hassle is about making sure that you find a client partner whose problem statement relates to something you can partner to fix and solve. So some of the hackathons that have been driven through the company and the ideas and the ideation and the problem statements actually make it easy to find that partner because you take we've been able to create products out of some of the work that has been done by the teams.
Beautiful.
And the real important part of anyone and anything that we do, you have to listen and then go into a conversation and have a relevant engagement around the problem statement. So you have to listen, and part of listening is doing research. So I always say to my teams, we can't walk into a client's setup ready to sell a product when on that very day they've been in the newspaper and have suffered massive losses because of a particular problem that is very in a complete opposing view to what we're trying to put forward. So listen, and listening is not just what you hear. It's what you see, it's what you read. So that the principle of the research and finding the trend, I'm bringing the same thread. The trend's your friend. So the trend's your friend in finding the data information, but the trend's also your friend in being relevant in understanding your clients before you go and sell to them. You don't just knock on the door and say, we're here.
We're here, yeah.
So you have to also track and see what are the trends, what are the peaks and troughs. Are they struggling with the revenue generation? Are they challenged with cost optimization? Are they really good at risk management? If they're really good at risk management, don't talk cybersecurity when you go there. Talk about cost optimization. So don't go and engage on something that best of class
Yeah.
in the market.
Can't tell them anything. Yes, I see.
So be relevant.
I understand. And the majority of your engagements, what is the mix? Because I'm sure there's both, right? How much of them do you go out and get based on what you said now? We've solved the problem. So we look around and see who else is struggling with this problem. And then we go and approach them with the solution that might have worked for us. And how much of it is people that say, hey, we've got this problem, please solve it for us. You guys have never seen this, but you have to deal with it.
That's why I like to use the words of partnerships. It's not selling. It's a partnership model that you build. And it doesn't matter how small the client is that comes on board with a problem that we can solve. That's your partner, whether it's a short-term engagement or a long-term engagement. And you'll find that over time, experience will show you if your track record, if your proof point is there, if you have exceeded expectations, and the quality of your people and the speed of execution has been better than the competitor, and you've managed to leave value behind to the client, you will get that callback for another problem. But equally, if you do mess up and you don't deliver to your expectations, be the first person to say we've made a mistake. And then take the consequences of that and say, which I've done. You had to grow up when you're running a business, which you say, you don't have to pay for that piece of work, actually, because we've messed up. And we're going to actually redo it at our own cost and do it better. So even knowing how to be the first to say, I actually haven't delivered to my promise, in itself later gives you clients, because you become a trustworthy partner.
Yeah.
So don't try and blame the client's team. Don't try and walk away from your own mistakes. Don't try and hide the mistake. Own up to it, because we're all human.
Yeah, of course.
So things happen.
Okay.
So your partnership model will survive, and your ability to attract those clients as a repeat clients will depend on the two things: how you deliver on your promise and how you respond when you've made mistakes to deliver.
That's so important, because it's like you're saying, it's a way to build trust, right? Now that you've come forth and said, look, this is my bad, we trust you even going forward to say, if something goes wrong, there's SystemicLogic that's gonna say, look, guys, I feel like, so it's not just about getting business and invoicing, for instance, right? It's a change of framing. I like how you frame it. It's a partnership.
And for any entrepreneur listening, I mean, sending out those invoices is great. It's fine. We all love it. But that can't be the focus point. You can't be. That's why I keep coming back to building a partnership model, because there are risks both ways. By the time it takes 6 to 12 months, sometimes 12 to 18 months to land a project. So put that there. So your pipeline building is important. 6 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months. But if your journey into that process was one of a great relationship building, and relationship building is not just me and the CEO and the executive and stuff. Your relationship building, by the way, is more important with every single one of your team members where they're sitting. It's a bottom up, it's a top down. So the trust levels have to be, me saying how great we are is not important. The proof of the pudding, my team showcasing how good we are, is more important than me being in a meeting, selling the process, right? Because I always say it takes 6 to 12 months or 12 to 18 months to land a good big project. It takes 6 minutes, sometimes 1 minute for my team to destroy that project and how they walk in and deliver. So you have to always balance how you enter and how you live what you say versus what you do. Because what I say is nothing if what my teams go and do something different.
One would assume that because you place so much reliance on the delivery of your team, that would involve you being very closely, like working very closely with your teams, almost micromanaging, to say, guys, I put my neck on the line for this. You guys must deliver. How do you navigate that practically?
So, there's no room, and it's a good question. There's no room not to get into the detail, because in my whole career and growth and stuff, I'm known to pay a lot of attention to detail. And I'm known to, when something's really important, I will be on your case. I will be like making sure it's right and done. And once you can prove it's working, you're empowered. I'll set you free. It's that balance. There's a balance between being involved or and accountable and abdicating responsibility. So
Yes.
you can never, as an entrepreneur, abdicate the responsibility of the quality of the output you've promised. Because the minute you do that, but you need to find a balance. You
Yes.
can't micromanage all the time. But I can tell you for free, any new signed on big clients, my team
It's
knows.
gonna get it.
We are on top of that, and we are making sure that the promise and the commitment. We're making sure in two ways. We're making sure that the team has the tools that they need to be empowered, and I'm making sure that the quality of that output is important, and that the engagement leaders who are leading those teams understand the tight time frames. So if we're supposed to deliver in 12 weeks, we should be looking at an 8-week turnaround time.
Jeez.
So if it's an 8-week turnaround time, what does it mean?
Yes. So I want to be careful. Do you intentionally set a higher target? Or do you say, this is what the market would deliver it in, and we're going to deliver it in less?
No, you don't do that, because you have to be guided by the work that you go in. So you have to, when I talk about speed of execution, you have to have people who, effectively, if I convert that, is, I started off by saying, I've never had a job. So you have to find something that you get into and you get your mind into. So when you find something you really enjoy, you have to immerse yourself in it. So that when I talk about the speed of execution, is every single one of my team members, when they partner with a client, they have to be the client. So they can't be SystemicLogic. They have to be the client that they're working with, because you have to immerse yourself in the challenges of the client, as if it was you are the shareholder.
Yes.
So once you walk into an environment partnering with a client like that, and you morph your mindset to being the shareholder, naturally you're going to start thinking differently about how to accelerate to ensure that you're spending less time, because less time means more money for the client, or less time means a good value for the client. And you have to find ways of being innovative, so that the speed of execution forces you to innovate in how you solution. So you don't, it's not something we walk in with saying, we're going to do this in 8 weeks. It's framing the team's mindset and then forcing the team and forcing ourselves to go into the mindset. Okay, we're now operating as, Absabank. We're operating as
the client.
We're operating as wherever. We're now the client. I'm morphed into the client.
Okay. So does this mean the working hours are very long there at SystemicLogic?
We've got I wouldn't call it. I think quality of life is important to the balance of life in what we do. But I mentioned it's not the I, it's the we. So you've got a team of experts. So if you've got the best data analyst and you've got the best developer and you've got a young intern who is in between, a cost optimization expert, the best researcher, and the design person. So you're building a team and a culture where I can count on your strength to marry my strength, to cover my weaknesses. But I can also count on your strength to accelerate your phase so that we can all have time to breathe. So that negotiation of how you manage that work-life balance is a team negotiation. So you can't let the team down, because if I have a bride to go to over the weekend and a client's app is due on a Friday, let's make sure it's done on a Thursday so we can all breathe. So that on a Friday we
work together as a team.
And sometimes if we let each other down, then we're all working on that weekend. Because then I also know that I let the team down, so I'm going to give up my bride. So so you have to empower your teams, and it has to be a culture where you're closing the gaps together.
Yes, I was going to ask, because now you've set the culture so that this happens automatically. People know that if they let their teams down, they're gonna have to. It's gonna affect everyone. It doesn't just affect you. You're not just letting yourself down.
And way to do that is, about 8 years ago, I experimented actually 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago. So the company experimented with SystemicLogic, and I said to every single person coming, I said, because I believe I wake up every day to create jobs and to create wealth, because our lives have to improve. And I remember saying to every single person, including the interns, that you will write your own check. I'm not going to tell you how much you need to get paid. You need to tell me how much you want to get paid.
Based on your effort.
Right? Now, to be able to get paid what you want to be paid, not just based on your effort, the success rate of what we're doing.
Okay.
It means that you're now holding yourself accountable, because if I need to get paid 10K more than I already am, it means that if I keep letting the team down and the project costs us and we're losing the margins because we're now delayed on the turnaround time, and there's nothing to go around, it means I'm going to get paid less. I let myself down. But if I'm going to write down a check and say I want to get paid this much, I'm going to make sure that from a sales point of view, if I'm a researcher, the information I hand over to my engagement lead to take through is beyond perfect, because I want my check. I want to write my own check, right? So when my performance review, and I'm sitting in front of my manager, I want them to have no reason to say that I didn't earn what I asked for at the beginning of the year.
Sure. Here's an interesting question, or interesting in my mind. It seems like once, especially because you said you want your people to immerse themselves in the environments of the clients. Once the engagement is done and they're happy, the client might be tempted to say, geez, man, Ntabi saying there, SystemicLogic, I want that girl. I want her to solve my problems. Is how much of a reality is it for you? As in, how much do clients poach your people? And how do you manage it?
I think the word poach, or any negative inferences always create a negative response in return. So you have to walk in knowing that if I'm going to position myself as having the best people and the quality of the people, then I have to create a pipeline that keeps going. And I need to be quite open with the clients. And so we've had situations where we've worked with the clients and actually send people through to them to take on different roles. So you have to set people free as well, because people have to grow. And I have examples of team members who have gone to do different things with different clients, have gone and come back. And 3 times later, they're coming back to SystemicLogic because the formula internally is very different. There's a secret sauce to how they're made to feel in that environment. And I'm a believer in any environment, you have to set your people free to go and gain more experience elsewhere. They will come back. And if they don't come back directly into the company, they'll come back as a client into the future. Or they'll come back as a reference. Or they'll come back as a recruiter of new talent for you. So either way, if they've had a great experience, they're going to help you find new great talent. They're going to come back to you as a client, or they're going to help you find other clients through their reference. So don't hold back great people.
I love that. So this means you are constantly then updating your pipeline. Okay, Mandla is a superstar right now. At any point, Standard Bank might say, I need Mandla. So you need someone that's going to be able to fill in the gap that Mandla will leave, if he leaves or when he leaves.
No, you don't even start from that point of view. You just want to make sure that every single person in your team is noticed. If they're recognized for whatever they do, you've done a great job.
You've done a great job.
You've done a great job. If it's about growing people, I mean, in another 10 years from now, I want any intern, any data scientist, any techie, any engineer, it doesn't matter, optimization expert, any strategic expert, consultant, we've got consultants as well, that has gone through SystemicLogic, is sitting somewhere in any other organization, and they're rubber stamped. Anything they touch and do, they are known to have come through the training that is SystemicLogic. So yes, we need to multiply. So I need to multiply.
It's beautiful.
Get that talent out. There's a time where I was very proud, and I still am. And it just warms my heart to know that that I probably sit with some of the best female data scientists, female data analysts, black female data analysts, for black female data scientists. Forget the country, into Africa, into else. I can take them anywhere in the world,
and they'll shine.
And anywhere in the world they'll be taken. And that's something beautiful. We have to celebrate that. We have to multiply. I can't hold them back. I have to multiply.
No, you have to. I love what you're saying, and I agree with it 100%. I'm just thinking about it now as a middle manager, where I have someone that I rely on very much on my team. And in the long term, of course, I want this person to succeed. I want them to be able to reflect the training and the culture and everything that we've built in this team. But now when they leave, this gap, is it too short-term thinking?
Don't be a Dr. No. There's a time in my corporate world, it's called middle managers, Dr. No's. You know, that creme brulee, like everybody else, you know, the creme brulee dessert's great, and you have top management. That crack, when you try crack, that's middle management. At the top is a nice squeeze off. So I'm glad you raised it on me. And it's an important place to go, because I think the challenge is not about being a middle manager or not. I think there are a lot of leaders out there who suddenly get threatened by the greatness below them.
Of the people.
Threatened by the greatness below them.
Ooh.
So don't be threatened by the greatness below you, because the greatness below you is a testament to your greatness.
Yes.
So the minute you start getting threatened by the greatness below you, you're saying you're not great.
Yes.
So you're casting a shadow on yourself, and you're saying, I don't believe in myself to build
create
more
another one.
and create another one. I don't believe in my own ability to lift others and to grow others. So now I'm threatened. So because I'm threatened, I'm going to hold them down. I'm not going to recommend them for promotion. I'm not going to move them to another department. I'm not going to take them to a meeting because, God forbid, my boss notices they're really bright, maybe brighter than I am. A true leader, a great leader, will always surround themselves with people who are brighter than they are.
Yeah, that unlocks something, you know. That last part wasn't unlocked. Can we go back to your corporate days? I know you were in corporate for quite some time.
Yes.
You were let me not say a bit. You were a trailblazer in your corporate life. Can you talk about that a bit? Once you left management consulting.
No. Well, because management consulting, you love this management consulting. I was back. So yes, I left that SABC, head of strategy, and then Liberty Life and Standard Bank. But I think the conversation, and I know you have had, and I have had it before when I first met you, is really the challenges in corporate. And for a young professional listening today in the corporate world,
absolutely,
how do you reach your potential? How do you become the best that you can, and how do you showcase your value? I think 100%. The corporate world comes with challenges of, you know, there's this hierarchy, there's structures around that. And my only advice to anyone listening is that whatever you're doing, whatever your trade is, try and be the best you can as a start, but also try and leverage all the opportunities in corporate. So make sure that you're working for a leader who sees you and is not scared to expose you to others. Make sure you're constantly looking at opportunities to grow in that corporate. If I use my simple example, at Liberty, when I first joined, I joined as the group HR executive. Within months, I took on the role of corporate affairs in addition to that. And then shortly after that was head of strategy, head of legal, head of stakeholder management, until they covered it all together into something called the chief executive of group strategic services, because I had all the business units effectively in the support functions, except finance and IT that were reporting into me. And that's really coming from wherever you're sitting in that very corporate as an opportunity for you to grow even further. So put your hand up for challenges. You don't have to put up your hand for promotion to get paid. You can put up your hand to do more than what you're doing. Find leaders who see you and don't get stuck working for a middle manager who's scared of losing you.
She's not talking about me, by the way.
Not about you. Who's scared of losing you. Because, and then have those conversations of growth. Because a lot of South African corporations, listed entities or non-listed entities, we're really a country that grows people. South African companies love to educate their staff. So go out and visit HR and see what opportunities are there for you to take a course while you're working, to get your MBA, get your diploma if you don't have it, get your degree, get into a new area. So move from finance to IT, go and learn about IT in the digital space, and go into a department you never would have thought of. So take those risks. So I think for me, the real message for anyone listening today is you can shape that professional that you want to be in any environment, but you have to be the master of your own journey in that space. And you have to make sure that you're focused on what you want to do. And then find sponsors in that environment. Find a sponsor. I am not standing here today because I am me, myself, and I. I've had amazing men and women in my career who've either sponsored me, sometimes indirectly.
Yes.
So your work sometimes will speak for you, and your sponsor is probably sitting in a meeting and they're judging your work positively. And then they ask a simple question: who did this? When that sponsor finds you, walk that path, because they've now opened another door for you.
Yes. This is beautiful. I'm loving this conversation. You spoke about shifting or pivoting, as they refer to it these days. You are in IT. You feel like you've applied yourself in IT. You want to go, try your hand at HR. From what I heard you say now, you said, start with where you are now. Start with where you are now. Obviously, because your work will speak for you, it'll get you into those rooms, and then learn about the other environment so that when it's time to move, you already have that exposure. Is that would that be a good
sometimes
characterization?
It could be. I think the pivoting issue is a case of you need to find and trace and follow your passion. So don't be scared to try something different.
Mm-hmm.
And that pivoting is also finding out from your colleagues in other departments what they do. And studying. I mean, these days online, Udemy, there's so many free courses of things that you could be pivoting towards if it's IT. Well, you could be pivoting into, making sure that if you're in a retail space or even a telco space, you want a managerial position, leading people. What does that mean? So if you're working alone, some people also prefer to work on their own. What does that mean? Are you a back office person or you're a front office person? So pivot to where you're comfortable. What you need to do. And there's no formula to how to do it successfully. The only formula is you and how bold you are to take the risks, to put in the time and disrupt yourself. And then once you've done that, to say, okay, what can I do with this?
I see. So not necessarily thinking about it from I want to do this, but from this is what I'm great at and this is what energizes me.
So exactly. So find what you enjoy doing. Do you enjoy marketing? If you look at the marketing team, but you're sitting there as an accountant going, I'm going to come to the accountant and I really, really want to be doing the marketing stuff. I get this. I can position our company differently.
Yes.
Speak to your marketing people. Read about marketing. See, is that where your heart, is that the rhythm to your heart, your music,
How do you do that without stepping on toes? Because not everyone is like, we'll take it in that fashion, right? To say, shame that the poor kid wants to learn. Some people will say, this one is trying to encroach in my territory. What's happening? Then how do you do it?
I think in closing, it's for me, and I say in closing, you see, I'm closing your own show.
No, we're almost there. So you actually,
I'm just looking at you. I'm closing. I'm thinking, closing your own show. Like, what are we going to do? But I think you're going to come back to yourself. Yes. I mean, you call this 9 to life.
Yes.
If it's 9 to life, there's no such thing as I'm now wearing my work suit and I'm starting work and stuff. So it's 9 to life means we hear the stories of, so-and-so was always a dancer. They would perform for the family and stuff and things. And now it's, now they're Rihanna or something, So we hear those stories of the famous people and
yes.
stuff. So in 9 to life, every one of us, there's something you were born to do.
Yes.
And there's something you enjoy.
Yes.
Let the sun not set without you figuring out what it is you're born to do.
So, I like what you say. This is this is my takeaway. So if you're gonna do marketing, or if marketing is the thing that you found and you've decided, this is it. Doesn't matter if you're going to step on toes or how people are going to interpret it. You're going to find a way to make it work.
You will find a way to respectfully find a way, value system, respectfully find a way to do it.
Yes.
You'll find a way to do it away from your current engagement. So it doesn't have to be in the same area. You're gonna go and read about you. You're gonna go to marketing activations. You're gonna speak to somebody in that space. You're gonna feel it. You're going to make time on the weekend. You're going to make time to go and see it. I'm using marketing as an example.
Yes.
If IT is something you're good at, you're going to find time after hours or in the evening to go online and learn how to code. Teach yourself how or find out what it is.
Yes.
If finance is your thing and you never really had an opportunity to do that, you're going to go back and do finance for non-financial managers, or you're going to take a course, you're going to enroll. I said corporates love to educate their employees. Go and dare to do something different. I have come across people who have done things differently. I've got an amazing client from one of my banks, Access Bank, actually a Nigerian bank, Access Bank Group. Dr. Herbert Wigwe, one of the founders and owners of Access Bank. And recently, during COVID, decided he wants to get a law degree. This is somebody who is a partner CEO and is already running a very respected institution that's global.
Yes.
But he went back to school and is, to study law so he can get a law degree and is starting a university in Nigeria and stuff. Herbert is in his mid to late 50s, I think, at this point in time. And he's still going back to school. So inspired me. Inspired me to say, okay, Audrey, what degree are you going to get next? But the point I'm making is you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you, I want to do the marketing. Go and do it. Now, here's an accountant, a CA who founded a bank, who a successful bank, wakes up one day and said, maybe I need to be a lawyer now as well.
Yes.
Go and Google him, Dr. Herbert Wigwe.
Herbert Wigwe.
Yeah.
Google. We'll put the name in the
Access PLC.
Yeah.
But that's an example I'm giving of it's never too late to pivot and do something else. Will he stop running a huge institution and developing other things? Maybe not. But the sun will set, him knowing that he just then became a lawyer. So that's a challenge even to me at 53. The question is, what's going to be my next big thing?
Yes. And have you found the answer?
I'll get it. When I find it, it will come back. But I definitely was challenged when I spoke to him once and he was busy working on his degree to be a lawyer.
That's so beautiful. Because someone would say, that guy has made it. What more does he need? But it's like a personal thing, a personal disruption thing.
Yes.
I love that. Self-disrupt.
So you're not stepping on anyone's toes, as you said. Just follow what you're meant to do.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest takeaway from our conversation today is we're looking at the same thing just from different angles. So it's just a framing thing, right? I say it's stepping on toes. No, it's disrupting yourself. Yes. You see, so focus on that and not
but then it's a negative or positive. Because when you say stepping on toes, and that's your generation, you guys need to reframe positively, not negatively. So when you say stepping on someone's toes, if I step on your toes, it hurts, right? So why are you intentionally going to hurt somebody? So reframe it to positive, right? It's not stepping, partner with that person, go and see that marketing person and engage around your vision, your dream, position it as your dream. My dream is to be a marketer. Please, how did you get there? Help me. But if you're waiting to step on my toes, I'll go ouch and I'll probably kick you and say sorry.
I'm not going to help you.
No, so reframe to the positive. Don't immediately bring in a negative construct to your own personal journey.
Yes.
Even in painful moments, even when you're really down, as entrepreneurs, when you're like really down and you're like, geez, this is what you do. Find the light.
Yes.
And then focus on that light.
Yes.
Because then you're opening yourself to positive things.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay. So before we close the show, we usually ask
Yes,
our
it's your show. You need to close your show.
No. I'm definitely closing the show. I'm taking it back. Smile. Before we close the show, we ask our guests 3 questions. We always ask each and every guest these 3 questions. Just to sort of compare and contrast. It's always fun to see the similarities, the differences. We get very vast different answers. First question, what in your career and life now, remember this is 9 to life, what has been your biggest win? And this is the part of the show where you get to brag and you get to talk about your achievements.
Funny enough, no, I'm not going to brag like that. So my achievements, my biggest win has not yet happened in my life. So let's put that. So the brag part, I've only just begun. So my biggest win has not happened yet because one of the visions was I need to build an African woman-owned company, execution digital tech company that could end up being seen as the likes of Accenture and Capgemini and all the other big ones in the future. So my biggest win is still on its way.
Coming.
That's coming. So that hasn't come through. But to answer your question around that, I think every day is a win. Every day that you as an entrepreneur or you as a professional, every day that you succeed in achieving the impossible is a big win. So every day in my journey to date, even sitting here and saying to you that, I left corporate 10 years ago.
Yes.
The fact that the company is going 10 years later, that's a win. That's a win,
huge.
but not my biggest win.
Yes.
Not yet.
Not yet. I love that. We had someone on the show saying, no, guys, you guys want me to jinx my future? I'm not going to say anything is my biggest win.
No. It's not about jinxing. I'm on the journey. I'm determined.
Yeah. The flip side. The second question is the flip side now. Yeah. What was the biggest lesson from that? What was the biggest lesson?
I think the biggest lesson for me, you turn it into a positive. The biggest lesson in going as an entrepreneur and starting a new business was the assumption that just because you're starting and you have this track record of everything you've done, I'm going to call you, let's see what you're going to, it's done. My work, my pipeline is given because you know what I've done. No, my biggest lesson was the minute you step away from any role, as an institution in any corporate culture, in any environment, and you start as an entrepreneur, my biggest lesson was you're starting from zero. It's from scratch. So Audrey, buddy, with all those accolades you talk about, 10 years ago, starting this, nothing. You start from scratch. And in that lesson, never forget who you are, what you stand for, your value system, and what your vision and your dreams are.
That's such an important lesson. That's such an important lesson because a lot of people do it in corporate. They have an idea of how it's going to look when they're doing it independently. And geez, they need someone to shake them and say, listen, brother, this is a totally different thing. Yeah. I love that. Last question. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, which is, okay, let's frame it as chief hustling officer. If you weren't a chief hustling officer, what would you be doing?
I'd be hustling something else somewhere. I'd still be hustling because remember, I am living my vision, and my vision is to create jobs and to create wealth. My favorite days in my company, when I wake up, my favorite messages that I get, and I get passionate about that, is when I get an email which is going to the whole company where we're welcoming a new person.
Oh,
my heart goes boom, boom, boom. Like that's a new person in the company.
Like but
it's not even fresh canvas. It's like, actually, wait a minute. Like I'm multiplying and there's a new person who's joining us. So it's that whole case of creating jobs. We live in a country where we do need to create those jobs. We do need to get to a point where we proud as Africans because we've built our own enterprises. We are creating opportunities for African children, and we're very proudly African about them, South African children, where things are homegrown. It has to be homegrown in what we put forward. So if I think about it, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be doing something else, but it's similar, which is living my vision around right here, right now. I've got only one vision: create jobs and create wealth. So every deal, every new project, so when I hustle out there, every new client, every new project creates jobs. Right? Every my team knows, every account that we lose, people are losing jobs somewhere. So we are all aligned in this vision of creating jobs, whatever problem we're solving. Because I want to get to that space. I want to go to a space where we wake up one day and I'm driving, I'm saying, you know what, I can now retire because you know what?
I did it.
We did good. I mean, whoever dreamt of creating companies that have 20,000, 30,000 people, it started somewhere. Somebody had a vision. Right? And in South Africa, we need more companies, more entrepreneurs succeeding that are creating tens of thousands of job opportunities. So we can replicate and multiply. Because with every job I create as a South African child, every South African child employed in my company, there are 10 beneficiaries at a minimum.
Yes. That's beautiful. That's a great place to close it. Obi, thank you so much for making it. Thank you so much for trusting us with your story and sharing it on 9 to Life. You have closing remarks before you close the mouth. I think you closed it out perfectly.
No, I think I did close out perfectly, but I just want to wish you well. I think, Lisiko, I think what you're doing is also a hassle of stuff.
It is.
And I don't want to be the first and only CEO. You're going to get even many more CEOs come through. So that's a closing. I was driving here thinking, what am I doing on my Saturday coming to this? And And I think the message there is, I'm here. I came today because I believe in your hustle. And from anyone listening, so you need more subscribers. So subscribe. When I make sure SystemicLogic subscribes to this as well.
Lovely.
So that's me paying it forward and saying we're going to subscribe to this. But the point I'm saying, believe in yourself, and I'm proud of what you're doing. And so get this show going. I want to come back 10 years. I want to be a guest in a 10-year rewind of all the people you started with. 10 years.
Thank you so much.
I'll be
Thank
back.
you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you'll definitely be back. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. You heard what the lady said. Subscribe, leave a comment. Who you want to see next? Also leave a review if you enjoyed the show, what you enjoyed about the show. Thank you. I'll see you guys on the next episode. 9 to Life, Killing the Game. That was beautiful. I love that episode. Oh my goodness.